Okie dokie. So what I just did was a quick video on the theory behind growth mindset. It was a really quick look through how it kind of works and a really broad, I guess, overview of what it is, how it was discovered, why we do it, the challenges involved in it, those sorts of things. So it was a bit more theory-based. This is the quick tips for the week, and they're going to be very same sort of thing because the topic was broad this week. It's going to be broad tips. As we move forward into other weeks, I'm going to get very specific on things. So there'll be very specific problems that you might be having and just little tips that you can implement to help alleviate those problems and change the mindset around for the kids. All right, so here we go. Quick tips for growth mindset. So toddlers, how do I introduce a growth mindset to toddlers? This is really important no matter what the age, not even joking. I'm pretty sure it works with my parents, so it must just work forever. But what you do gets copied. And more so, the younger the child is, the more this is relevant. So what you're doing is getting copied. You want to model your expectations. That is going to be 50% of your work done. If you want your children to be respectful or not shouting, then you need to practice not shouting and being respectful. If you want your children to persevere at a task and not give up, then you need to be able to show and explain to them that you're doing something. And even though it's tough or you've failed, you're not giving up and you're persevering with it. So whatever it is that you want your children to be working on, you need to make sure you're doing it as well. Toddlers are very physical. So going back to toddlers now, toddlers are very physical. So we want to keep the words short and simple. And what you're looking for is their frustration usually. So with toddlers, again, they're physical and they're normally quite expressive. We've got a toddler in the house at the moment. You know, when she gets frustrated, it's screaming, or some kids will throw themselves down on the ground. Some will cry, some will run away. You know, some will do something defiant, basically. And that's okay because they don't have the words yet to express what that frustration is. So it's our job then to try and help them to look at what is it that could be frustrating them and try to model a different solution. So, and using the positive words. So down the bottom here, I've put a screaming toddler rather than yelling back. So if they're yelling or screaming or carrying on, you know, you want to slow down. You need to use a calm voice. Nice words, please. Or use your words. Show me what it is that's upsetting you. So I do this a lot with our little one. She's 2.5. I didn't have it with any of the other kids, but when she gets frustrated, she starts screaming. I haven't had this before. But it's always, if you antagonize that, if you continue to do what she's doing, it gets worse and explodes. So I will always slow down. Okay, stop. I have to tell her what I want. Stop. Use your nice words, please. So it's much slower. It's very calm but firm. Stop. Use your nice words, please. What is it that's upsetting you? And then she'll give me a word. It's like her sock's not going on or something. You know, it's twisted on her toe or some crazy, ridiculous small thing. But as long as I tell her what I expect, stop, use your nice words, and then I ask her what it is that's upsetting her, she'll tell me. And it changes the whole tone. She stops the screaming. She stops the crying. It's all okay. All right, so introducing this to preschoolers. So as they get older, we're going to be doing a little bit, I guess, more higher level stuff. So with the toddlers, it's simple words. With preschoolers, again, we want to model our expectations, but they start to understand more. So you can use simple sentences with preschoolers. You want to recognize when they're going to give up. So a big thing with preschoolers is they start to get frustrated and throw it away. I want to give up on this. It's too hard. So you can talk to preschoolers about not giving up. You know, it's really important to never, ever give up. Keep trying. Let's work on it together and trying again, or trying something different. You know, if they're building a tower and it falls down because it's too flimsy at the bottom, well, okay, well, let's work on something else. Maybe we should try putting more blocks at the bottom. Let's try that together. And then they build it. So it's really important to reiterate at the end, once they've tried again, look how well you did. It's really great that you didn't give up. You kept trying and now you've achieved this sort of thing. So preschoolers often get grumpy. They're starting to understand that things don't just happen immediately like they want, and that's frustrating for them. So you want to make sure that you praise the effort that they're putting in. I love that you tried again and didn't give up until you made it work. All right, primary aged children. So primary school for Americans, that's elementary school. So from about 5 years old to 11-ish. Same thing, still modeling our expectations. These kids are quite emotional. So you're going to see big emotions happening in these years. The best thing you could do is kind of break the ice a little bit with this age group. So you still need to be firm. At all points, you want to be firm and direct about what you want, not what you don't want, not don't run in the house. Stop or walk slowly, whatever the case may be. Whatever it is that you want, you need to be direct about what you want, not what you don't want. And another thing that works really well with these kids is just to make things a game and to lighten it up a little bit. They start to get a little bit heavy at this age. It's all big, explosive emotions, and they're starting to go to school, and that's quite tiring for them. Long days, lots of concentrating. A lot of the time they'll come home and they've got extra activities. They might have homework, those sorts of things. So we want to make sure that we try and lighten it a little bit for them. Understand they're starting to get under a bit of pressure. It's a lot of work for them. So we want to look at where they're coming from. Same thing, a calm, firm, but friendly tone. And then you want to discuss their role in the family and what they can and can't control. So a lot of the time the emotions are coming from not being able to control something, getting frustrated that they want to watch TV but they're not allowed to, or they don't want to have their shower yet but they need to, or they don't want that for dinner, they want something else. They're trying to start to control situations. So you can talk about, this is the role of the parent. I need to feed you. If you want to choose tomorrow's dinner, you can. So you can give them options as well. It helps. But normally I would limit it to 2 options. So say, for example, breakfast can be a bit of a hassle sometimes. But now we're at the point, these are your options for breakfast. This or this. We're going to go out. We're going to go here or here. So I give them 2 options. But the other thing I do to lighten the mood, especially when it's getting later afternoon, evening, is try and make things a little bit of a game. This age, a lot of the time, especially the younger ones in this age group, take forever to get out the door. I know you know what I'm talking about. Put your shoes on, put your shoes on, put your shoes on, put your shoes on, put your shoes on. So rather than doing that, we could try and turn it into more of a game. Mum's going to beat you. The first person to get to the front door is the winner. To get the shoes on and be at the front door is the winner. And we can do it that way. I do a lot of counting stuff. I think I can do it in 10 seconds. How long is it going to take you? And then I start counting. I'm going to win. So a lot of the times, as long as you're making it playful, they do enjoy that sort of thing. Yes, so making it a game. What have I put down the bottom here? An emotional primary age child. Rather than getting frustrated and yelling or dismissing them, that's another thing that sometimes we do at this age, is like, that's not your problem, don't worry about it. So rather than yelling or dismissing them, you want to move somewhere quiet. There's been a lot going on in their day, so we want to move somewhere quiet. No TV on, no radios, no distractions of other things. And I will normally come to their level. I do this with all the younger kids anyway. Come to their levels and I ask them, they understand now, well, what feeling are you having at the moment? And when did that start? So what's really upsetting you? And then you take the time to listen. You're not making any judgments. You're not offering any advice. It's just asking questions. And what you really want to do is get them to start identifying what their emotions are. Like, I feel really angry. Okay, well, what's made you feel angry? Is it really anger you're feeling? Because often anger is more frustration or annoyance or those sorts of things. So you want to just get them to start recognizing their feelings, ask them how that happened, and then put the onus back onto them. You want to listen, but the end needs to be, okay, well, what did you do well in this situation? What can you do better next time? How would you do this differently next time? So you're putting it back to them to make a better decision. So if they're angry and frustrated and big emotions, don't do that straight away. You want to do the game thing first, get a little bit playful. Or if they're getting really angry and frustrated, you can depending on the child, you can actually move them away to a quiet room and go, okay, come on, let's have a chat. And the children will like that because they do enjoy having that attention at this age as well. If it's your undivided attention, do not be sitting there on your phone while they're talking to you. You have to be sitting there and listening, like really listening. You want to always end with hugs. I mean, I always end with a hug and a positive. I'm really happy that you spoke to me about this. I'm proud that you're making whatever the decision is that they've made to improve on for next time. We'll talk a lot about emotions actually, because it's quite a big thing, especially for that age group, so that'll come up more. Okay, introducing it for teens. Again, modelling expectations. This should have been going on hopefully throughout their preteen years. Once you're getting into the teenage years, the teens are really starting to listen more to their peers. I guess their peers take a priority over parents. So you want to make some space for that to happen, but still make sure that you don't let it get out of control. So things that happen a lot in the teenage years are going to be your gadgets or your digital stuff, phones, apps, computer games, all that sort of thing. Granted, they're going to need to do some of that for school, but you can also control some things as well. So a lot of my friends with the teens, they will restrict their phone. So they have a phone, but they don't have any apps on it other than their school apps, or they might have an iPad and don't have anything other than their school apps. And then they have an iMessage group for their class or their grade or whatever the case may be. And the rule is that the parent needs to be able to look at those messages at any point in time. And if you give them a little bit of space and make sure that you're calm in your communication with them, it's going to open those lines anyway for the communication. They will start to talk to you. And when they're doing that, you want to make sure you're asking questions about how they're feeling, what's going on at school, and those sorts of broader questions. But then when they answer, you want to dig down a little bit deeper and see how far you can go. Do not make judgments. Do not pass on your expertise. They don't want to hear it. That's when they will shut down. So if you're just getting started with this, you really just want to ask open questions and get as much as you can. And then the more they start to open, the deeper you'll be able to go. And eventually they'll start asking you for advice anyway. Okay, so we want to go specific questions is the end goal, including what's happening with their friends, and make sure you're actively listening. There's no point asking them a question and you're both sitting there on your phone not really paying attention to each other. You really need to take that time to be eye to eye, face to face, real contact conversation, like the good old days. Make a specific time for them. So they're getting a little older now. Everything else is kind of running out of control. They still want you around. So it's really important to make a specific time for them. So it might just be half an hour on a Saturday morning and you go down to the shops together, or if you're the girls, maybe the girls go get their nails done, or maybe, one thing I do with our preteen at the moment, we do a lot of baking. So we'll do a Saturday afternoon where we'll do some baking together and we just stand and chat. And then the 12-year-old, the 12, almost 13-year-old, he's in high school now. He's starting to do the shutdown thing, but I'll just take him with me to the shops and he'll come and help me with the groceries and those sorts of things. So while we're doing that, I only take him. So it's his time. We chit-chat as we're moving around. It's very casual. And my husband even comments that the children talk more to me than they do to him, or I'm the stepmother, to him or their mother. So but that's come from me, over the years, being very calm with everything and making sure that I ask the right kind of question that gets them talking. And then I listen. I just listen. And then I'll ask another question. So they do talk a lot to me. Okay, so a withdrawing teen, rather than leaving them to their own devices or hovering over them like the helicopter parent, we need to find that middle ground. So we want to require, teens really need that time to sort of de-stress, debrief, and connect. And they can do that with you. They'll do it with their friends, but they can do a little bit of that with you as well. So you want to make a quiet time or a specific time for each of the children, and then ask them, what did you do in drama class today? How did that go? Oh, tell me something funny that happened at school today. Tell me something that you learned at school today. I always ask very specific friends, what's been happening with X friend, whatever the friend's name is. And then the more specific those questions are, they're still broad, but they're specific enough, they start to open up. And then you'll be able to ask even more specific questions as you move along. Okay, so teachers in classrooms. Same thing, model expectations. If you're grouchy, grumpy pants, the kids are probably not going to be happy-go-lucky. So it's really important that you're modeling the expectations of the children. So, you know, I even go into the classes and I will say, here's what I expect from you. These are the things I expect. Once we get to this level, here's the rewards that you get to have. So the kids know, they know where they stand. And there's no, I don't back down, I guess, is the other thing. And that's the same with parenting. You can't, some things you kind of have to give a bit of leeway on, but really you want those expectations to be there and for them to come up to the expectations, not you to come down to them. So discuss what fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is. You know, fixed you can't change, whereas growth you can. I do a lot of talking. I do a lot of question asking. What's something that's fixed? What's something that can't move? They'll come up with things like houses and buildings and, you know, icebergs and all these things that are the stationary and can't move. They're very good at it, kids. And then I'll talk about, okay, what's something that can move? What's something that grows? Trees and gardens and flowers and puppies and people. And they'll come up with all these living things that do grow. So what I then do after that is I want to ask them for examples in their life. So something that they can think of in their life, and they can write it down depending on their age, that's fixed, it's stationary, it can't change. And then something in their life that's not fixed, it's growing, they're watching it grow. And a lot of times kids will have had pets. They'll have seen them grow from, say, a puppy to a dog or a kitten to a cat. They might have younger siblings, and depending on the age gap, they might have seen them go from a newborn through to a baby to a toddler to a preschooler. So that they'll have something in their life that they can then, I guess, what's the word? Stick to it, attach. They can attach the concept to. And then we want to talk about how humans are born with a growth mindset. We're born that way. Babies can't talk. They don't really know what they're doing. But are they all lying around on the floor when they're 5 years old? No, they're not. Why not? Because they're born with a growth mindset. They're born to know that they need to roll over. Do they roll over the first time they try? No, it takes hundreds of tries, miss. Okay, well, what about when they're walking? Surely they must just stand up and walk. Once they've rolled over, they can just walk. No, it takes ages, miss. It takes so long. They have to stand up first, and they fall down lots of times, and then they hold on to things, and then they fall down, and eventually they let go and they're wobbly, but then they get better and better and they start walking. All right, so the kids can tell you these things. If you ask the right questions, they understand. So then I go and I reflect back. Okay, so we're born to do that then, because babies don't understand what they're doing, but they know to keep trying and never give up and keep going and going until they get it. So we need to then be able to use that in our life. Like if we're riding a bike and it's too hard, we don't want to thump the bike down and give up and that's the end. I can't ever ride a bike. It's all over. Or do I need to go, okay, I wasn't able to do it today. Let me find a different way of doing it. Or maybe I need training wheels. Or maybe I need mum or dad to hold onto the back of the seat for a while. Or maybe I need a flatter path to start on. Okay, so we want to use, we're taking them on that journey of understanding the growth mindset, seeing that, oh, hang on, this is possible. I've already achieved this because I was the baby and I'm not lying on the ground anymore. I'm walking and talking and I can read now and all these sorts of things. And then you take it back to closer time for what they've done now. Okay, so maybe they're learning a particular strategy or even in English. They might have just learnt to write letters. Okay, well, could you write letters last year? No, didn't even know how to hold the pencil. Okay, so first we had to learn to hold the pencil. Then we needed to learn how to put the pencil on the paper correctly. Then we needed to learn how to form the letters. Then we needed to put the letters together into words. So they can understand, even in their short time frame, that they've been working on something, and over time they get to be able to do that. So then we could tell them, okay, so now when there's something in your life that you think you can't do, then what do we need to do? Oh, we need to look at a different way of doing it, or we need to break it down into smaller steps and be happy that we're achieving little bits, or it takes a bit of time and we have to keep practicing. And then you want to go into asking them, of things they've been scared of, something they've been scared to do, and what's something, so get them to think of something they're scared of or they think they can't do. So now they're identifying something that, oh, I can't do that, which is what they will think, I can't do that. Okay, so now we know that it's not that you can't do that, it's just that you need more practice. You need to fail at it a little bit more so that you get better at it each time. What can you do next time in order to grow? And they will give you all of the examples you could possibly imagine, some that you probably can't even imagine. And another thing I do with kids is just to have a bunch of statements, fixed mindset and growth mindset statements. If that's of interest to anybody, I can create one for everybody and put that in as a resource as well. So just having fixed and growth mindset, and okay, well, let's look at these. Which one is it? And then categorizing. So it helps them to see the types of language that we use if we're fixed versus if we're growth mindset. Okay, so that's really it. They're my quick tips for everyone. We went through toddlers, preschoolers, primary age, teens, and doing it in a classroom, teaching in a classroom. If there's any questions about, I guess, introducing growth mindset, just let me know. If you're on YouTube, you can make a comment. If you are in the Facebook group, it's probably going to be the easiest one. So we've got the Grow Kids Minds Facebook group. I check in there fairly frequently. So I think posting there is probably going to be the easiest option. And I can do an answer for that. If the creating statements is going to be of any use to any teachers or parents out there, just hit me up and I will get that made up. And pretty sure I have it somewhere, so I'll have to check on it. And then I can get it remade and out for you. I was going to see if we can see my face again. Oh, there I am. So yes, as I said, any questions, just let me know. Facebook group is Grow Kids Minds. So just go to Facebook, Grow Kids Minds, click on the groups thing that's in there. I think the / is actually facebook.com/groups/Grow Kids Minds. So you should be able to find it there. And any questions or anything else like that, you can find me. I'm in multiple places. I will see you next week. The tips are going to be shorter. So they'll be nice, short, consistent, easy to understand. I'll probably do some longer form blog posts and stuff along the way as well for those of you that like to read. And I will see you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.